Hey, lovely people from the internets. It's Tank Girl here for another Tank Girl Mobile Live review. Yes, I'm really digging this live review format. 1080p video from an iPhone. If you're wondering why the iPhone, is because Google has not launched their YouTube mobile app yet, and there's a third-party app on iOS that lets me stream at this level of quality. So, this is it. The P9 from Huawei, one of my favorite phones of this year so far. I have to tell you, this phone was one of my darlings. I used it extensively for about, like 2 or 3 months. I took it with me to Asia for 5 weeks, so that should tell you something. And the reason I love it is because it is a beautifully made flagship that's relatively affordable and has some really interesting camera tricks up its sleeve. So let's talk about that real quick. So let's start with the beginning. This is the white one. You know I love white phones. It's super sexy. Check out the sexiness here. Whoa, look at that. Chamfered edges. Yeah. Hot. Look at that. So good. Look at that display. So speaking of display, this is a 1080p display. No Quad HD here. This is a pretty common trend among sort of pseudo flagships. Well, this is a flagship, but slightly more affordable than most. I'm not exactly sure the price because this is not officially sold in the US. Why that is, you'll have to ask Huawei. I think they're making a terrible mistake. This is absolutely flagship worthy. It's up there, the OnePlus 3, the Galaxy S7, the G5, the HTC 10, all of our favorite phones. So, yes, so flagship-ish, 5.2-inch, 1080p IPS panel. As you see, it's a very, very sexy panel, very beautiful. And I love this design. I love this kind of squareness. It's 7mm thick, so it's really thin and beautiful. And of course, there's that party trick in the back, which is this Leica branded camera, and I'll get into that in great detail. I'll show you some pictures, so just stay tuned, okay? But more importantly, I want to just go through the basics first and talk to you about what this phone is about. So if you like the design, immediately you get a good phone. It's thin, it's light, it's beautifully made, it's aluminum unibody. You know, like there's no plastic end caps here. There's an antenna bar. You can see how beautifully made it is. So the front here has an 8-megapixel camera for selfies. You know, I'm not much of a selfie person. It works fine. You get some sensors, earpiece, pretty much what you expect in the front of a phone. Software keys the way I like them. You've got the Huawei logo on the right-hand side is the volume rocker and the power lock key. And look what they've done. I love this. It's got this kind of little indent, so when you touch it and it's ridged, so you know you're on the power lock key. Really well done. Look at the quality of manufacturing of this. Here's a secondary mic on top. On the left side, this time I got it right. It's not the right, it's the left. Is a SIM tray that doubles as a micro SD card slot. So this is nano SIM, micro SD. Some markets have a dual SIM there. And then all the rest of the good stuff is at the bottom. USB Type-C does support quick charge, but does not come with a quick charge charger in the box. So if you have a quick charge charger, that's the issues when you're doing live. You know, you just stumble sometimes. Plug it in, it'll work. I'm not sure if it's even more than quick charge 2. Then you have a headphone jack, and this is a testament to how thin this phone is. Look at the size of the headphone jack with respect to the overall size of the phone. Mono speaker, nothing to write home about. Primary microphone. It's just all perfectly fine. Nice 2.5D glass at the edge here. Again, you know, pretty much standard issue for a flagship in 2016. Huawei, bunch of stuff down here. Serial number, now you can all steal my serial number. Fingerprint reader, really nice and fast, just as good as on the Nexus 6P or the Mate 8, which is two of my favorite phones this year. The 6P is my daily driver. And here are those crazy Leica cameras. And a dual LED, dual color flash, and a laser autofocus module. So again, I'm going to talk about the camera towards the end, but let's talk about what's inside. This is the 3GB, 32 gigs of storage version. There is a 4GB with 64 gigs of storage as well. I don't know where you get that one, but that's all they sent me. And you know, frankly, it's perfectly fine. It's snappy, it's fast. It's powered by a Kirin 955 processor built in-house by Huawei. It's, you know, perfectly fine and adequate. Let me start some apps so you can see the performance. Here is some horrible article on the internet. We got some Twitter action here. Let's go back and go to my Facebook, and then go back and go to maybe, let's see, what else do we want to launch? I don't know. G Plus is always a good one, wherever it is hiding. Oh, it's in the Google folder. So maybe it is not in the Google folder. Oh yeah, there it is. So here we go. And as you can see now, it's perfectly fine. There's lots of apps running. It's not, Snapdragon 820 fast, but it's definitely flagship fast. So I really have no issues with this phone. I personally didn't feel that I was missing out on any performance using this device. And to be fair, I'm not using the built-in launcher normally. I wanted to show you EMUI because it's a love-hate thing. For example, Nicole Scott at Mobile Geeks, whom I sometimes write for, does really like EMUI. I really hate EMUI. I am more of a pure Nexus person, and I tend to turn my phones into Nexus experiences. By default, this comes with a version of the swipe keyboard, and it comes with this non-app tray UI called EMUI with these weird squared icons that you can, by the way, get rid of by downloading an icon pack. It's just generally a crappy experience, and it gets even worse here in the system tray where these shortcut notifications all accumulate in a really nasty way. And then you've got like this weird thing where you have to go in here for the settings, and then even when you're in the settings, you have to go advanced settings to get to some stuff like language and location. It's a mess. Unfortunately, you can't change the settings stuff, but you can change the launcher, and I'm going to do that to go back to what I like better, because you need to see this as a Nexus-sized phone, because it's really the only way to go. So let's change the launcher back to Google Apps, and then go home and enjoy a real Google experience. Oh, so much better. And let's change the keyboard back, so you know what to expect. Let me kill some apps. Keyboard. As you can see, it's a lot of steps because you have to navigate through this complicated menu system. Whew, there we go. We're back to the Google keyboard. I feel better now. Ta-da! Yes. Okay, so now that you've done this, it's actually a worthy phone. Of course it's running Marshmallow, but will it get updates? That is a bit of a crapshoot, and that's one of the problems with these phones from China, is that they don't always get the updates quite as fast. Of course, the Nexus 6P is made by Huawei, and it's going to get the updates because it's a Nexus, but that's a given. But anyway, fingerprint reader is nice and fast. Let me lock this up and show you. Boom. Okay, so let's do that again because I was moving a little too much. Boom, there you go. So super fast, right? Nothing too surprising. Oh, I'm in the camera, which I didn't want to do. Let's kill a few apps here. I talked about the hardware. I talked about the innards. The battery is a 3,000 milliamp hour battery. It did the job for me. I didn't really have any issues with running it for a day or so on normal use. Heavy use might require me to plug in, but you know what? That's kind of to be expected. Most phones today have the battery about 3,000 milliamp hour, and it just works fine. So let's talk about this camera, because this phone is really all about this brand Leica. And a lot of people are, myself included, we're jaded, and we're like, yeah, they put Leica, whatever. What does that mean? Because Leica is a manufacturer of really phenomenal cameras. So what does it mean they put their name on there? What it means is they did not manufacture any of these parts, but they worked together with Huawei to make a better camera experience and camera software. So image processing and UI. Now these are two cameras, as you noticed. They're both 12 megapixels, f/2.2, which is kind of meh. Of course, as I said, dual LED, dual color flash, laser autofocus, and no OIS. Now you're going to go pitchforks. I mean, at least if you're me, I don't like cameras without OIS because I like to do long exposures, but it's kind of difficult to synchronize two identical camera modules to have the same OIS synchronization when the lenses have to move. So that's why they don't do it. I don't think it's that they didn't want to do it, but they just didn't do it because it's not really possible. So that does dampen the excitement and the usability somewhat. It's harder to do long exposures unless you have a tripod, for example. But why two different lenses and sensors? Well, one is monochrome and the other one is color. And it's like your eyes, the rods and the cones. Your eyes have sensors dedicated to color and other sensors dedicated to brightness. And they combine them in software in your head, right? It's obviously not software, but it's how your brain works to turn them into an image. And this is the same idea here. So you have autofocus, of course, on both of them. And the end result is that you get much better dynamic range. I don't know which one's the monochrome sensor. I'm just keeping pointing at this one for monochrome because I'm just going to decree that it's monochrome. So the monochrome sensor gives you really good dynamic range, much better rendition on clouds, shadows, and highlights. And then this here will give you color. And the color, it can just specialize on the RGB side of things. And combined, you can do some cool stuff like variable depth of field and after the fact depth of field and after the fact autofocus. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. As you can see, my iPhone has a hard time with reflecting blue light from the windows and changing the color balance of the shot. Oof. So that's what happened for using an iPhone, huh? But anyway, let me show you some photos because that really just sums it all up. First, let's walk through the UI a little bit. So I'm going to start the camera, and the first thing you'll notice is that I can go through my photos here, of course, and then I can go back. Hello. I guess I'm not tapping the back button. Sorry, I'm a little off because I'm looking at the screen of the phone instead of the phone I'm filming on. And then you've got the shutter button here, and then you have this will change this to video, this changes to photo. You can tap on this and get the manual controls instantly. So that's kind of nice. You can get to manual controls by sliding this Pro slider anytime you want. On this side here, you can switch to the front, I think. There I am. Woohoo! And you can, of course, I'm going to switch that back. And then you can switch to some filters. Well, not filters. They're more like film types. So this is really interesting, actually. Let's just show you that real quick. I like this a lot because if you use some cameras like the Fujifilm cameras, you have the choice of picking like a film type, which basically means, do you want to like go with vivid colors, which is my favorite, basically like kind of Kodachrome slide film, or do you want to shoot with smoother colors, or do you want to shoot with kind of a default color palette? And it gives you some artistic choices that kind of emulate film. Then you can use this mode here, which is a variable aperture mode. So in this mode, if I tap on here, I have the ability to change the aperture, the f-stop, as you can see here, from a tiny little 16 all the way to a really big opening of 0.95. Now it's completely synthetic and it doesn't really mean anything, but it lets you take photos and focus them after the fact, which is really exciting. Then if I go back, you get the flash, which I always turn off. Who cares about flash? Swipe from here and you get a bunch of modes. You get photo, you get monochrome, obviously, right? Of course you get monochrome because now you can take some beautiful monochrome photos like the Leica monochrome, which is actually a camera Leica makes. So you've got, all these different modes here. Let's see. Let's go back to photo and let's show you the modes. Beauty, beauty video, light painting, which is really fun. Watermark, monochrome, HDR, of course, night spot, slow motion, night shot, slow motion, photo, video, panorama, time lapse, and I think that's it. Slide back, and if you slide from the other side, you get all the settings. So GPS tagging, resolution, adding watermark, assistive grid, and all that other good stuff. You can see there's a lot of settings here you can play with. So that's essentially the lay of the land when it comes to this camera experience. And it's a really good camera experience. It's really quick to get around here. By the way, these are the filters. I was telling you there's a bunch of real-time filters. There they are. So yeah, so that's it. I'm going to go back to vivid. That's my favorite mode. So now let's show you some photos because that's what you came for, right? I mean, this phone is all about photos. Boom, look at this. Yosemite, okay? Look at this level of detail, right? This is a beautiful camera. Look at the shadows. Now, there's a lot of haze in this photo, but this was naturally real haze. And it just came out so natural looking. Most of these were shot vivid because I'm a big fan of vivid. And here is how monochrome shines. You can really get so much more out of a monochrome image in terms of dynamic range. So there you have it, another monochrome image. Look at that. That's an HDR shot, I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, it might not be. But look at this. I mean, wow. And there's another shot done with the monochrome mod. You can see some light rays here falling because there was some light coming in from here and it kind of hit the lens in a weird way, but it gives us this nice analog feel to it. Look at that. Now, seriously, look at this photo and tell me you're not blown away by the rendering of the shadows and highlights in this shot. The dynamic range afforded. Most of the time you don't have to use HDR with this camera. It's that good. Another monochrome shot. Yes, I went to Yosemite. But that's not the only photos I have in here. So stay tuned. We're going to go through a lot of these. Now we're in Japan. Look at the sky here. Look at the freaking sky. And look at the level of detail and the level of light rendition on that sky. Every little detail is there. The exposure on this camera is brilliant. And I think that's because Leica was involved. Another shot from Japan. Look at this. This is in vivid mode. Yeah, you want? Look at that. Is that good or is that good? Yeah, I know. My sweetie sitting on some rocks on a river. And look, sunset. You can see detail in that shadow, which is kind of remarkable for a phone camera. Hiroshima, the dome, perfect in black and white, monochrome. Here it is again. Look at that sky again. Look at that. Look at the colors on this. I mean, seriously, this camera is just such a pleasure. Look at the light play. With monochrome, instead of focusing on colors, you can actually focus on light. And it just brings out a whole new dimension of of quality to your photos. This is all Japan. Tons of photos from Japan. And look at this. This is not an HDR shot, and you can see the edges of that door frame. It's really, really quite cool. What else do we have here? Sunset pictures. More Japan. Tons of photos from Japan because I spend a lot of time there. So this one's kind of fun. This is, as you can see from the icon here, a refocusable variable aperture photo. So let me show you how that works. You basically hit that button, then you can touch the refocus. So I can focus on here, or I can focus over there. And look at the flower in the foreground is now out of focus because I focused back there. But as soon as I tap on here, I've focused on the foreground. And better yet, I can decide to say, I want to adjust this to be everything in focus. Look, now everything's in focus, right? Or I can say, no, I just want like halfway focus. No, and now I just want super mega focus. And look, everything just went blurry in the background. That's because you have two cameras that you can do this kind of stuff. It's really freaking cool. So, of course, it saves that last settings and lets you export a JPEG if you want. More Japan. Here's another one of these adjustable. See, look at that. We're focusing on different parts of the photo. Boom, 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 right? I mean, tell me this isn't fun. Come on. Come at me and tell me this isn't fun. So, anyway, what else is there? Oh, look, I was at Computex. So here we're going to have some stuff from Computex. There's Taiwan. This is Taipei. You can see the Taipei 101. I'm not quite sure why I'm seeing some jitter on the screen on my video right now. But anyway, look at that. That is Hong Kong in the middle of the night. And you can see low light is not this camera's forte. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not GS7 or anybody else. This is Hong Kong. But overall, it's a pleasant enough photo. And this is actually what I was going to say. Look at that monochrome mode at night. The drawback of this camera is low light and the lack of OIS. This is a vivid shot, and you can see the vivid brings out these colors. This is in the southern Taiwan, and look at the color on the rust here. That's what I'm talking about. Vivid, like slide style film. Taipei 101, more Taipei 101. Here's a panorama from Taiwan, again from Taipei. Another beautiful black and white shot. You can see all the level of detail in that cloud back here. Look at that. Amazing. Everybody likes a beautiful Porsche 911, so I cropped it and made it into a much better picture. The upside down house, again in Taipei, and then you can clearly see the color rendering on this Vivid. And here's me leaving San Francisco, and look at this shot. Look at it. You can see the freaking Golden Gate in the background. The optics are so good on this phone. You're gonna say you can get that of a GS7 for sure, but look at that. Look at the, this one is a variable aperture, of course. I can focus on different parts, right? Again, so. And then this is the masterpiece. Look at this shot. This is not edited. This is pure out of the camera. Look at this, again, the clouds, the details on the greens back there. Right? Right. So it might not be like a camera, but I'm telling you, it certainly is a usable camera that is, look at the clouds again. It is just magnificent. I love this camera. I've had so much fun with it. Look at that. And this is a low light shot. So, you know, it holds its own in low light, guys. I mean, you know, this is no slouch. It's still not GS7, but frankly, it's so much more fun. So this is all in Portland, Oregon. And here's a fireplace, food. This is me being goofy in the airplane photos. This is in San Francisco, the Parkside, and you can see here, yeah, it holds its own in low light despite not being its really biggest strength. Vivid color, look at that vivid mode, that sunset. We're looking at east actually, so it's reflections in the sky of the sunset. And then here's another variable depth of field photo. Black and white on color subjects looks amazeballs. This is my neighborhood in San Francisco. And here, this was almost pitch dark. There was barely any light lighting up this fence. And with monochrome, you can really get that sense of drama. And it came out really good because the monochrome sensor is obviously much better in low light than the color sensor. Here's another shot, and look, you can have so much fun in monochrome with the light. So this really encourages you to be creative, this camera. And this is what really got me excited about using it, frankly. And if I was gonna say there's one camera I recommend this year, if I wanna be technical in terms of purity and quality of imaging, it would be the Galaxy S7. I think that's the last photo. But if I wanna be creative and really have a lot of fun, hello, I guess it's having some issues. I would pick the this phone, the P9 from Huawei. Awesome phone. So I know I'm not making your life easier because yesterday I reviewed the OnePlus 3. I haven't reviewed the Galaxy S7 and G5, but obviously I have them and I've used them extensively. And you're probably wondering, like, yeah, which phone should I buy? Well, you know what? It's really up to you. But this is definitely one of the phones I would, recommend you look at, even though it's not sold in the US, because importing it, by the way, it works flawlessly on T-Mobile and AT&T on LTE. Of course, it's not going to work on Verizon and Sprint because, it doesn't have the CDMA part. But this phone is, just awesome. Just camera-wise, it's just so much fun. So I think overall the OnePlus 3 is a better rounded phone because it's a bit faster and bigger screen and it's a bit newer. But again, this is fun for the money. It's going to be hard to have as much fun to do photography. So anyway, that's it for the P9, a review of this fantastic phone. Let me give you another quick look at the beauty of this thing because it's really well made. And the other thing that's really surprising is how great it feels in hand, despite being a slab of flatness, basically. And also how light it is. It is so light. So look at this. Isn't this sexy? I know. I'm a sucker for beautiful phones. Yeah. Eat it all up. Go for it. I know you want it. There you go. It's like pornography, isn't it? Cool. Well, listen, guys, I should run, but I hope you enjoyed this review video. I'm very impressed with this phone, as you can tell. Stay tuned. Obviously, I'm not impressed with all the phones I review, but stay tuned for more of these live reviews with all the mistakes that I make, which is kind of fun. And it means I don't have to do any editing, so you get them straight away on YouTube. Also, please subscribe. It's down here somewhere. Like this video, all that good stuff. Look at my other videos. Tell your friends. I want to make this a more regular thing and kind of grow the YouTube channel a bit more again. So I count on you guys, the people who know me and like me and know what the reviews are like when I do them, to spread the word, okay? All right, P9 from Huawei, thumbs up, especially in the imaging department, despite some obvious lacks like lack of OIS and lack of, not being the best in low light, but still a fun phone. Cheers, I'll talk to you guys later. Stay tuned for more of these videos. All right, bye.